In this video, we are not here to figure out who'd win in a fight between Deadpool and Batman v Superman.
Let's face it, Bats and Supes would get owned anyway.
Instead, we're going to compare and contrast two movies that defied everyone's expectations.
So bear in mind, this is going to contain spoilers, but if you haven't seen these films already, go watch them and come back.
First off, Deadpool, a relatively unknown property, became one of the most successful films of 2016, officially opening the door for R-rated comic book movies.
It's about fucking time, right?
Secondly, we have the sorry story of Batman v Superman, a film that features two of the most recognizable characters and had the fourth highest opening weekend in box office history.
Which then, of course, went on to collapse under its own hype and be mauled by critics and audiences alike.
So where does the comparison between the two come in?
Well, it turns out that Deadpool's mother is also named Martha. Okay, that's not true. But we're praying to the comic gods that that joke does crop up in the sequel.
Full disclosure, neither of us hated Batman v Superman. In fact, we both quite liked it, but there were a number of issues. We're not here to bash the movie.
And we're definitely not on Marvel payroll like everybody else out there.
We're simply going to compare it to Deadpool and try and make sense of its failure. So, do we think fatigue played into the equation at all? We'd already seen 8 depictions of Batman and 6 of Superman. Are the movie-going public tired of seeing these characters?
Batman and Superman have both featured heavily on the silver screen, though they're definitely not the first characters to do so. But we've never seen them together before, and this is the real draw of the movie. The film itself is nothing groundbreaking, and of course there was the continuation of the super dour, super serious tone from Man of Steel. How much interest can these characters really hold within the mold that's just a repetition of what's come before?
I'd agree with that. A 7-minute fight between the two lead characters does not justify a 2.5-hour movie. And while the fight itself was amazing, we really needed the setup to be mind-blowing too. It was disappointing how contrived and unoriginal the circumstances actually turned out. And why didn't Clark use his genius-level intellect to talk to Batman and resolve the conflict? Was he truly limited to how many lines he spoke? And with the addition of Batman's penchant for killing, it felt like both characterizations were oddly skewed.
By contrast, Deadpool gave us a foul-mouthed, fourth-wall-breaking character. We got a little bit of a glimpse in Wolverine Origins, and I'm really sorry for bringing that up, obviously. But the movie used its lead character in ways that hadn't really been seen in comic book movies before, so it felt very fresh.
But the true feat of Deadpool was getting people into cinemas in the first place. It schooled us in the use of creative marketing for movies, and it highlighted a movie that wasn't on many people's radar. It didn't rely on trailers alone. In the best possible way, it became ubiquitous for several weeks, charming our pants off with fun ways of reaching key demographics that otherwise might not have gone to see the movie. And props to Ryan Reynolds for pouring his heart and soul into those efforts.
Like Batman v Superman, Deadpool gave quite a bit away in the trailers, but these weren't necessarily seen by a large quantity of the new people that came in. Warner Brothers, on the other hand, relied all too heavily on the name recognition alone. So when people went to see the movie, they were almost rightly disappointed that the rest of the movie didn't go beyond what was shown.
So what was it about Deadpool that you liked in terms of storytelling and production?
Well, in general, Deadpool was a very simple story. A love story and a revenge story at the same time. But what kept it fresh was the non-linear editing, the beautiful voiceover from Ryan Reynolds, and the fast pacing as well. Although the production was heavily limited in some ways, the budget most notably, it worked in the movie's favour as creativity was nurtured rather than stifled. And this coming from Fox Studios of all places. Batman vs Superman in comparison had all the money and all the resources. Restrictions in some cases make better films.
I think the decision to keep Zack Snyder at the helm was the movie's ultimate downfall. There were real pacing issues, especially when it came to bridging over to Justice League. It was clear he didn't quite know how to handle those elements, and as a result we got several bizarre dream sequences. Will any of those plot points affect the overall story in the follow-up, or were they just completely random? If DC's motivation was to cash in on the Marvel Ensemble formula, and they really wanted Snyder to direct, maybe the smarter decision would have been just to skip straight to Justice League? We've had films like X-Men and Guardians of the Galaxy prove ensemble movies can work from the get-go, and Snyder had already had a decent crack at Watchmen.
That might have worked, but it's a big jump to take. As you say, the main issue at DC has been their leadership. Thankfully, and in their defence, they've just appointed Jeff Johns and John Berg as their head honchos, who've promised a lot more hope and optimism in the world. So there's at least a little light on the horizon for DC fans, and hopefully we'll get a big improvement in the upcoming Justice League movies.
BVS dropped nearly 70% in its second week of showing. Audiences quickly lost interest. So what does that say about moviegoing in general? For me, I'm leaning on the hope that it means we want more originality. variety. We want characters we haven't seen before.
If anything's certain in Hollywood, it's that the horse that is the popular genre will be beaten to death and people will eventually become disinterested in the whole thing. The benefit of comic book movies is that there are literally thousands of characters, powers, possibilities to draw from. We don't need to keep on telling the same stories.
And given the vast quantity of comic book movies we've already had, with a full spectrum ranging from terrible all the way through to excellent, audiences are definitely becoming more savvy. And with that in mind, Deadpool has to tread a very careful path moving into its sequel. Are we going to get more of the same meta jokes that fall flat simply because it's all been done before? While we're eager to see if the extended R-rated cut of Batman v Superman repairs some of the damage, the original version leaves a lot to be desired. Deadpool, by contrast, found fun new ways to grab our attention, with a character that had no real right to step into the ring with Batman and Superman, but the merc with the mouth comes out the clear winner.
World star!
So looking ahead and bearing in mind our analysis, which of the upcoming comic book movies do we think might suffer from BVS syndrome?
It should be a medical term, BVS syndrome. Snyder's got a terminal case.
So first off, we got X-Men Apocalypse. It's already receiving a few negative reviews. So do we think it has the legs to withstand mediocrity?
I think the X-Men movies are generally well received. X-Men Days of Future Past definitely was. I don't know how much it made, upwards of 700 million, I think. I think this one is going to be something similar.
Suicide Squad, we have another ensemble piece, this time from DC. The marketing looks good, characters are well cast.
Yeah, definitely. I'm really looking forward to Suicide Squad. It's going to be something different again. It's going to be Guardians of the Galaxy, but with bad guys.
Doctor Strange, when it was announced there were 1 or 2 raised eyebrows.
Just like Doctor Strange himself.
But now we've seen the trailer, it's looking like a very interesting movie, potentially a game changer.
Yeah, I think so. It's exploring part of the Marvel Universe that we've never seen before, and it's going to do things in comic book movies that we haven't seen before either.
Then we've got Lego Batman.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. I don't really count it amongst these films, but it should be really fun.
Yeah, it looks good. And the original Lego movie was absolutely batshit crazy. So why not Lego Batman?
First time.
Wolverine 3 sticks out to me as a potential problem.
Yeah, well, this is one that may go BVS route because it's obviously Fox, so it's following on from Deadpool. They're going R-rated, that's confirmed. Is that just going to mean more blood and swearing? It's a tough line to get right, and you can't be Deadpool every time. That's not going to work every single time, so they've got to be clever with it.
Guardians of the Galaxy 2, excellent first movie. It's another one that's approaching a difficult, potentially difficult second movie. Where do we think that stands?
Now they've got that groundwork laid down. It's the same director, as far as I know, the same writers. They should build on it well, and it's going to add into Marvel's cosmic element as well.
So next we got Wonder Woman. The fan reaction to Gal Gadot has seemed to be pretty positive, and it's following Captain America's example by doing a period piece.
Yeah, it's another period piece, which we don't see all that much of in CVMs, but it is notable because it's another World War.
Yeah, I believe it's World War I that this one is focusing on, instead of World War II.
You just don't want to go up to World War I, because then you turn into the robot from Power Rangers. I. Gal Gadot has a lot to live up to. She's got to fill some boots there. It all rests on her. Can she carry the film?
Spider-Man Homecoming. Spider-Man has had a lot of issues with movies recently. Marvel are taking over the production and have complete creative control over the movie. Do we think Spider-Man is going to have any issues?
Spider-Man being controlled by Marvel can only be a good thing. On the whole, Marvel put out excellent content. I can't see it going wrong.
So last of all, to round off 2017, we got Thor Ragnarok.
I'm hoping this is going to be the best of the Thors, because the first one was lackluster, the second one was pretty bad.
Yeah, and it's interesting that they're bringing in Mark Ruffalo to fulfill the Hulk role again. It's almost Marvel admitting Thor isn't that interesting on his own.
Well, this may be Marvel admitting that neither Thor nor Hulk work on their own. Now, Hulk may be for a different reason, because they can't put one out without paying Universal, but at the same time, it's not that interesting characters as far as I'm concerned. It's always the same Frankenstein, Jekyll and Hyde shit, and I'm sick of that.
Yeah, maybe they should just rename it Thor v Hulk and be done with it. So which movie did you prefer, and what comic book movies are you looking forward to? Please let us know your thoughts in the comment section below, and subscribe for all our upcoming videos. Thanks for watching.